Hey,
And
how are
there
you?
he is. Hey, not so bad. How are you?
Not too shabby.
It does feel a little weird to start any conversation on one of these things without saying like, no, like, how are you? Because saying just like, oh, good.
Oh,
It's
you're here now. Welcome. Yeah.
right, yeah. Oh man, well, it's good to have you here, Dallon from I don't know how, but they found me, joining us all the way from Utah. Is that correct? Or
Yeah,
are you back
Salt Lake
in
City.
Salt Lake City? Right on. How's
Yeah.
it been out there?
Oh, it's good. It's home. I was in LA for about 10 years or so and just really glad to be out of there and back to a, well, I don't know if normal's the right word. Normal for me.
Yeah, for sure. I've been enjoying talking to artists that are back at home more lately because they seem to mostly find like some silver linings in all of this. And I imagine for you, it's some time back home with your family.
Yeah, it's weird. I think musicians aren't quite having the exact same quarantine experience as everyone else because this is the longest period of time I've been home in maybe a decade. So that's the upside of it for me.
It's cool to see you're getting some time at home, but not necessarily some time off, I imagine, because we're only a couple of weeks away from this new record coming out, Razzmatazz, due out on the 23rd. Are you excited to get that out in the open? How's that feel?
Oh man, it feels great. It almost feels like I've been going insane just waiting for this thing because it's been delay after delay after delay, and it's been written for a really long time. And we finally got the opportunity to record it in February, and that's when coronavirus started showing up in the news and in the U.S. And so we've been on lockdown, and that's delayed things. You know, mixing it took a while longer than we had hoped for, and then we had our release date, and then that got delayed too, just because the vinyl company couldn't produce the order in time for the release because of Corona. So it's been stressful, but yeah, it feels good to be able to begin that process of getting music out into the world.
Yeah, for sure. That I was interested to know why it might have gotten pushed back that extra week, but it is optimistic on the other side of this that we can look forward to physical releases on vinyl. That's cool to
Oh
hear.
yeah, yeah.
So you said that it was finished back in February, and it makes sense that it's been, or that you started recording it back in February, and it makes sense that it's been a little bit of time because this is going to be a massive record, if I can say so. Doing some research into it, I think it's really interesting how you develop the storyline behind the band. And I know you brought in a bunch of people with us that are no doubt familiar with it, but can you bring us up to speed with where Razzmatazz fits in the timeline, the very interesting timeline of this band?
Well, yeah. I mean, initially Ryan and I made this EP, and the record that we've made, Razzmatazz, was always meant to be part of that. But we sort of got interrupted with a couple of years of touring to build the band up a little bit more. But initially, when we started presenting our music, the fictional storyline was just this extra layer of entertainment for the people who care to dive into it. But it was about a band from 30, 40 years ago that just sort of got forgotten about. And that was the story up to that point. But with the record, we've decided to twist the narrative a little bit, so it's not necessarily what you think it was this whole time. So we decided to do that rather than just keep doing the same thing over and over again. And we'll change it again in the future. We might even not have fictional storylines in the future. It's just something that felt like a fun idea.
Yeah, what inspired you to go about it in such a mysterious way? I love like all the little hints in the music videos and like on the website, and there's so much to dive into. Was there any like event that stands out?
Well, there's a few things that I think were sort of the genesis of that. I'd probably start with like David Bowie doing Ziggy Stardust or the Beatles doing Sgt. Pepper. You know, I've always been a fan of like concept records and diving into those fictional storylines and that artwork that those bands and artists have made. So it's definitely not a new thing. But another reason for doing it is because of how I grew up and how I discovered music when I was young. You know, there was no internet, and you weren't constantly being sold things like follow us here and subscribe to this and make sure to do that and that and that. You had to go chase down the things that you loved. It happened to be at a friend's house and The Cure came on, which is how I discovered The Cure. That just happened to be on MTV that at that moment. And then I was like, what is this? And I had to go out and find out about this band and go to record stores and buy magazines and chase this stuff down. So a lot of this fictional story stuff that we're doing is just for the people that want to have that experience. And you know, the music sort of stands apart from it. yeah, it's there for the people that care to dive into it.
Do you think that that kind of drives in a similar vein some of the more like aesthetic choices? You've described it as retro futuristic, the ambiance to kind of a lot of the stuff that you put out. And is it true that the record takes its name from a VHS tape in your childhood?
Yeah, yeah. The record, the name came from this Canadian like public television children's show called The Music Machine. And that was our music education class when I was in elementary school. The teacher would wheel in that big TV that was on the cart. And the host of this show would always start each episode with asking this giant computer, the music machine, to play us some razzmatazz. And so I never forgot that word. So it just really kind of popped up here and there while we were making this record. More of a joke than anything else. But when we were writing the actual song, decided to incorporate it into that, and it ended up being the title track.
Man, that's amazing. I love that. I love the story behind that. And I'm interested to see what else we get on the record. Razzmatazz, again, due out on the 23rd. What I want to get at, I guess, is the visual medium focused on retro sci-fi film, if I can go that far.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I know you take
yeah.
a lot of influence from Back to the Future, of course. Is there anything else that kind of stands out that makes you want to present it in such a way?
I mean, nothing in particular, really. I feel like your influences, whether they're musical or aesthetic or visual or whatever, they come from all of the things that you consume. You know, other artists' music or movies or television or even TV commercials. Like it comes from anywhere and everywhere. And so I think that everything we do, at least aesthetically, is just sort of a mashup of all that stuff that I grew up with and was impressed by or that influenced me. All the aesthetics and, filming music videos on vintage VHS equipment, it's more just, we're not really interested in being revivalists or anything, but it's more trying to capture that feeling that we had discovering bands and artists when we were younger.
I don't want you to have to spell out the whole mystery for us, that we can leave that to wait until the record comes out on the 23rd, but I do have some fan questions that I gathered before this that I'd like to kind of close out on. Usually we post this like a few days prior to the interview and we'll get like a dozen questions. This time we got like 200. So I sifted through and found a few that I really like. Yeah, the fans are ravenous. I love it.
Awesome. That's awesome.
So I was going to ask this a little bit ago, but I wanted to save it for the end because with such a complex storyline, a lot of the fans want to know this as well that I saw. You described it as kind of a soft concept record. So when you went to put it together, did you start kind of top down with it, or did you kind of write the songs and put them in place and kind of take it from a more flexible angle to see where it went?
It was a little more flexible because I think the narrative of how we release the music and that really all comes secondary because the things that I write about are all very real and personal things and experiences. Even if it's a fictional story, I mean, you have to draw from something real in order to help it connect with people. But the aesthetics and the storyline are all sort of secondary. We think about them while we're making the record and how things can be interwoven and connect to each other. Really, I don't think all that stuff sort of comes together and connects until the record is close to being finished.
Moving into a much less heavy question, Jake writes, where do you get your clothes? Because he loves the fashion sense and he's been searching for a similar jacket to your Social Climb video.
Which one is the Social Climb one?
Was it a yellow jacket?
Yeah, yellow jacket. All right,
Yeah.
so that everything's from the internet now. That's how I shop. I mean, it used to be just like thrift stores and things that I find backstage, that people left behind or something. But it's all just online shopping, I guess.
Do you ever scroll through Instagram and see a cool jacket and go, I'll take it?
I mean, yeah, Instagram or magazines or something, and oh, that looks nice. I'll give that a try. And if it's not like outrageously expensive, then I'll go for it because I still try to be a responsible father. So that Social Climb jacket in particular, I think it's like a Coach jacket or something, but I got it like secondhand off the internet, so it was like way cheaper or something. So
this one comes to us from Kill the Butler. How many B-sides are there, and how do you think they'll be released?
That I'm not sure. I don't know if there'll be physical releases for them, but they'll definitely be streaming. And there's 3 that I know of. We haven't really dove into any outtakes or anything else, but Yeah, three songs. One that I wrote that didn't make the record just because it didn't get finished in time, called MX Sinister, sort of a gender neutral stalker story. That's a fictional one. And then an alternate version of From the Gallows, which is on the record. The B-side version will be more of like a barbershop quartet, jazz ballad type thing. And I can't remember the third one for the life of me.
Well, right on. We're looking forward to them. I know we're getting a 12-song full album, but all the fans are like, we'll take 100, you know? I like this one from M, and it was echoed by a lot of comments that I saw online and now. What do you hope that the fans take away from this record, Razzmatazz, that's coming out? Is there like a message that you want people to get, or is it more abstract? I like how you put it once, something like an exercise in imagination.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have very specific things in mind when I'm writing, you know, themes or things that I want to say, but I try to make the effort to lyrically lay it out and say the things I want to say without explicitly saying it. Because I think it's always more fun and more entertaining for people when they can pull multiple meanings from any one given song or one particular lyric. So I try to leave that stuff open and not spell it out too hard, because having fans' imaginations being able to sort of wander around in those ideas, I think is pretty valuable.
Yeah, as with any great art, we'll let the music speak for itself when it comes out in just a couple of weeks. Another really light one that came through on the Instagram stream when we just got started that I can't avoid. Halloween's coming up towards the end of the month. What's your take on candy corn?
The worst. It's the worst.
Really?
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. I'm not big on candy in general, but candy corn. Even when I was a kid, like I just, you know, when that made it into my pillowcase bag, I was just like, well, that was a waste of a nut.
It's just filler.
Yeah.
I think candy corn is top tier, but different strokes, I suppose.
Well, it's a love it or hate it thing, but I'm in the latter camp.
All right, my last two questions. I like to ask everybody that comes through the big room, virtual or otherwise. I'm working on a map. I want to ask you what the prettiest American state is in terms of its geographical outline alone. What state has the prettiest shape? Utah,
100%.
Utah. Yep.
Yeah, it's geometric, you know, but it takes a little left-hand turn up in that top right-hand corner. You know, it's got that little notch out of it.
Yeah,
it's geometric, but it's asymmetrical, and you know, you got that big beautiful Salt Lake over in there in the middle. I'd put that on a T-shirt. I'll wear that.
Just the outline of Utah. I think it's you and the Aces that both said Utah, which makes sense.
It's home.
And yeah, absolutely. My very last question to send you off on is the classic question that, again, I like to ask everybody that comes through. Would you rather, if you had to fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Either one. Just bring it on. I will beat the crap out of every one of those animals. So I pride myself on my ability to get in a fight and win with any animal in nature. So, you know, even these animals, they aren't in nature. Fictional animals, oh man, I can beat the crap out of them easily. Sleep.
That's amazing. I've asked that question like 40 times and not once has someone said both.
Both at the exact same time. Give me that duck-sized horse and those duck-sized horses.
Oh, that's amazing. A very courageous answer from Dallon.
Bring it on, fictional imagination animals.
I love it. Well, thank you so much again, Dallon. We'll let you go and get on with the rest of your day. Thanks for everybody for being here. Looking forward to the new record, Razzmatazz, out on the 23rd.
Thanks for the questions, and thanks for hitting me up. I really appreciate it. And for playing our music. That's so kind of you to do. It's really appreciated. Well, thanks again. I appreciate it.
Of course. Take care.
We'll see you.